Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Superman, the upcoming movie for next year. About just over a month away, year away, I think, roughly, from where we are at this point. But anyway, so as many would have known, we've had Superman being made by James Gunn, of course, filming in public areas in the city of Cleveland, Ohio, for what, the past week or so, roughly? Maybe just over a week, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know, I can't remember exactly when they started. But the two big things so far were, of course, a better look at the Superman suit, which looked much better than that original suit reveal from like a month or so ago, though that does connect to something we'll go over today. But yeah, just look much better than that. These photos also revealing the first look at Mr. Terrific, which looks fine, looks good. It's nothing overly impressive because it just looks like the comic version, really. And the second big thing was some major spoilers revealing a villain in the film that James Gunn originally denied was in the film. Well, he sort of did. He didn't flat out say, oh, this villain's not in the film. He sort of used his words very carefully, but most people from his statement believed he was, it was him saying the villain was in the film, and then there's obviously set photos revealing that. Anyway, but over the past, day or two, depending on when this video comes out, we got some first looks at two characters that were already confirmed for this film, but we had no indication on what their looks would actually look like, though technically it could be three character reveals in these new photos, though one of them is not really a character reveal, because it's not what the final product would look like, if that makes sense. Now, I don't really consider these spoilers for one big reason. We already knew these characters were in the film, and they'll be in the trailer when the trailer drops. They were big reports that James Gunn himself talked about as well, so maybe minor spoilers, but if someone's saying there's a proper spoil, then they're kidding themselves. But yeah, let's have a look at these photos and talk about the debate and, in some cases, arguments that they have caused, but also while I feel like the controversy around them might actually be intentional. And and if that is the case, kudos for James Gunn for doing this, as I think it's somewhat of a smart idea if that is what is happening, though you hope that it gets sort of, fixed, if you want to put it, by the end of the movie, though they could fall into some traits or cliches that people don't like, but we'll talk about that throughout the video. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on this. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Give me reasons why. Or maybe you give the stuff that you like and don't like. Could be a bit of a mixed pot for you, I'm not too sure. But let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts there, any theories you might have. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, I want to show your support, drop a like, takes 2 seconds. So let's just jump straight into it. So these set photos are in a public area. Now, I'm not too sure if they necessarily connect to the other set photos where we got the first look where it was Superman and Mr. Terrific hanging out. They're obviously in the same city of Cleveland and everything like that, but we don't know if one of them is in the first half an hour of the movie and another one's not until the final battle. We don't know necessarily what's going on, but they do confirm a couple of things that people were, theorizing going into the movie, and that it sort of connects to a larger theory that was happening before they started filming and when James Gunn was posting little photos and stuff on social media. So the first photo here is our first look at Guy Gardner's Green Lantern, being played, of course, by Nathan Fillion, and then Hawkgirl being played by Isabella Merced, I think her name is, whatever it is. This, we can just look at it. So the Green Lantern, so you can see the little Green Lantern symbol there. You can't see his ring. There is another shot where you can sort of see the ring if we zoom in as well. We'll get to that in a bit. The big thing is you can see the Guy Gardner bowl cut. People are really diving too deep into this. It's not the right shade of ginger. Look, it's like a strawberry blonde, but I think they were trying to go for I don't know, maybe it looks like this in the light. Maybe when it's in a darker room or something, it looks a bit different. But I don't know, people maybe just nitpicking and stuff. I don't really like Guy Gardner that much. I was not the biggest fan of this casting. Based off the look, I don't necessarily love it either. But in regards to his suit, we'll get to when there's a clearer shot. The one thing I was worried when they cast Isabella Merced as Hawkgirl is she's tiny. It's she is a tiny woman. And I don't know. I don't know. It depends. You never know. Cinema magic and stuff like that, and camera magic can make someone look taller and stuff. And of course, it's a character that's going to be flying a lot of the time with her wings. Of course, obviously no wings in these set photos because Isabella Merced doesn't naturally have wings. Don't know if anyone knew that, but just thought I'd let anyone know that did not know that. So of course, because she's going to be flying a lot of the time, maybe it doesn't matter too much. It just looks a bit silly when she's just walking along. You can see the mace there. I like the look of the mace. It looks very comic booky. It doesn't look like a mace you would have seen. I don't think the Black Adam Hawkman mace, I think, was a bit different. They try to fit in with his aesthetic. It looks like 3D printed, but I think that's the whole point. It's meant to look comic booky. And you can see her helmet there. Once again, I think that's going to tie into the larger thing around their costumes as a whole. And once again, I don't think it looks that great, but at the same time, I think there's a reason for it not looking that great. But here you can get a better look at their front on angle. So Isabella Merced, you can see there. I'm not gonna lie. I think the Hawk Girl suit is the worst suit we've seen so far. I think it's legitimately bad. But once again, we'll talk about why I think that's the case. In regards to the Green Lantern thing, it's the same. Like it's just not Guy Gardner's suit, but you might be able to get a bit of a connection here. You might be looking at some of like the patterns and stuff on their suit. They're the same. They are like the same sort of like look, like they've got the same like sort of like stripes there, just with some little differences and color differences and stuff like that. But they're pretty much, it's almost like they've come out of a factory. Like it's almost like it's work attire, and like they may be working in different departments or something like that. Now this is probably the better look because you get Hawk Girl without the helmet on, so it's just Isabella Merced there. I don't mind like the little glove things, like the wrapping around her hands and stuff like that, and you can see the little like hawk symbol on the belt there at the front. But yeah, like that's just what it is. But the thing you might be able to tell potentially, especially if you saw some of the Mr. Terrific photos, is the symbol on the chest there. You might be like, why does she have the symbol there? Why does the Guy Gardner's Green Lantern have the symbol there? Why did Mr. Terrific have the symbol there? Well, that's actually the symbol for Lord Tech, Maxwell Lord's company. And I think this is actually an interesting thing that they're doing potentially, which we'll get to in a second. Here we can see them, Hawk Girl, Guy Gardner, and Superman together. You can see Superman's actually got his suit's damaged. It actually looks like the one from the original reveal photo that they put up whenever it was, like the one that people didn't really like too much. But obviously, so I guess they must have filmed an indoor scene maybe with this shoot, you know, like a month or so ago, and like that's when they took the photo for it. So there must be another scene indoors that they filmed, you know, whenever it was with this suit. But here's a better shot of Guy Gardner at the like front on, where you can properly see that he has a Lord Tech symbol on his chest there. And if you actually zoom in on his right, our left, or his right hand, but on our left, you can see the Green Lantern ring slightly. You can just see it there. Obviously, with VFX and stuff, it'll light up when you use these powers and stuff like that. But people were wondering if he didn't have the ring. I'm like, I mean, it'd be pretty hard to be a Green Lantern and a part of the Green Lantern Corps if you don't have the ring. And then we do get this is like the final shot I want to talk about before I get into like the potential theory around what's happening, especially with the costumes, where there's a larger thing with the movie. You can see this guy in the blue suit here. We can assume that this is Metamorpho, aka Rex Mason, who'll be played by Anthony Carrigan. Now, the interesting thing around this is that we also got a set photo of Stag Industries, so Simon Stagg's company, the front of the building, as you can see right here. Now, if you don't know the story around Metamorpho, essentially he worked for Simon Stagg, but he was also like sort of like dating or like romantically interested with Simon Stagg's daughter. Simon Stagg was like, yeah, what the hell? So he sends Rex Mason, who's going to become Metamorpho. And there's pretty much like this mission where he's just going to get killed by one of other Simon Stagg's like other like goons, if you want to call it. That happens. He gets pretty much like essentially taken out, but then he gets in contact with the thing they were seeking out, which is this thing called the Orb of Ra. He gets connected to it, and that pretty much turns him into Metamorpho. Now, Metamorpho is an interesting character because he doesn't just use his powers. He's not like who are like, I guess, like the Human Torch, where he just goes flame on and he turns into Metamorpho and stuff. He's constantly like that. He's like the Thing, I guess, if you want to compare it to a character or something like that. So he's constantly like that. So I'm interested to see what they do with the Anthony Carrigan thing here, because this person's in the blue suit here. We're assuming it's going to be Metamorpho, but does that mean Anthony Carrigan just does the voice, or whenever it's action scenes, it's just this big blue suit, they can do the tracking and everything like that, and then maybe when they mix Anthony Carrigan's face into the final design, then I guess when maybe it's a indoor scene or whatever, or they're just standing around talking, like not an action scene, then maybe it's him in like makeup, maybe with dots on his face, they can do the different VFX things they need to do. I don't know what they're going to do there, but I think we can assume that that's Metamorpho. So this is pretty much the group that we expected to play into this, with Metamorpho, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific flying in his little jetpack thing, which had been previous set photos of that, I'm pretty sure. And then, of course, Guy Gardner there with Superman. Now, this thing with the Lord Tech suits and everything, look, these suits aren't good. Like, Mr. Terrific's is fine. Guy Gardner's is like a 5 out of 10. I think the Hawkgirl one is the worst of the lot. I think it's like 3 out of 10. Probably because she's got the mask, and the mask doesn't look that great either. Don't mind the mace. I think the mace is pretty cool. But I think it's pretty clear that they're obviously working for Lord Tech, which is like this corporate entity, but they're going to get their own suits at the end of the movie, which I'm fine with if that's the case. Like, it's like this very corporate thing, and they're on this team funded by Lord Tech, and he's the one that supplies these suits. Wouldn't surprise me too much if Mr. Terrific was either the first one to join, or he was originally already on Lord Tech because of his intellect and stuff, and he then brings in these other characters and he makes the suits for them and stuff like that. It wouldn't surprise me too much if that is the case that happens in this film. But it also ties in interestingly to the authority side of things with like the engineer and other characters like that, where they're clearly tied to the military or the government. Actually, well, the government's probably the better term to use. They're tied to the government. And essentially what we're seeing is almost like the reverse Kingdom Come, which is the big theory that a lot of people were talking about previously, because they obviously weren't going to adapt Kingdom Come, as your first. It would make no sense. It'd be awful. What the hell are you doing here? It's like you need history before you do Kingdom Come. But if you do the reverse Kingdom Come, you can have Superman coming into this world as Superman and having these different entities and different controlled entities and stuff like that, and it works much better. So you have one funded by the government, which is the authority, and one funded by corporate, well, whether it's just one corporate entity, maybe there's multiple corporate entities that control certain superheroes, we don't know. But I like the fact that you have Superman that comes in, he doesn't sit in either corner. Like he's on his own. He's like this, like a soul trader, if you want to put it. Like he's his own individual character, and people, he doesn't fit into it. And then he can maybe be like villainized because of that. Like I did see a set video, might I say. I don't know if I'll put it up because I probably won't be able to find it knowing my luck. But it was like him walking through a crowd and people seem to be like a bit wary of him, a bit scared of him, like, oh, who's this guy? Like, he's not a part of these groups that we trust. Like, they probably trust this group of like Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, Metamorpho, Mr. Terrific, but then they have this person who's not a part of that. So do we trust this person? Especially if this person comes across as like the most powerful superhero that they've seen so far. But in regards to like them getting the suit, like their proper suits, like I'm expecting Guy Gardner gets a very comic accurate suit at the end. Same with Hawkgirl. Mr. Terrific, probably not too much outside of like the Lord Tech being taken away, like, so he might get a bit of a different suit, but roughly be the same. And I mean, Metamorpho is Metamorpho, so I don't know if there'd be too much of a change there, but we're probably going to get that at the end. Now, I don't mind that because I think it fits into the story where they're controlled by Lord Tech and under his, I don't want to say under his rule, but like maybe he funds them and stuff like that. But I know people are against like the cliche of, they have these crap suits or not very good suits for most of the movie, then they get these better suits at the end of the movie, but then we maybe don't see those suits again. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think whenever we see these characters next, potentially like Guy Gardner in the Lands TV show, they have those suits next, especially if they're very much like what they wear in the comics and stuff like that. Because Guy Gardner's got like a very specific look for him as Green Lantern, so you'd expect for him to have that. But as I said, I know a lot of people don't like that trope or cliche and stuff like that. I can understand like a movie without the context behind it, but this has a lot of context behind why that would happen. So I liked it. I like it because of that. But I can understand in other films where it just feels a bit hammy and almost like a reason to sell more toys or merchandise or something like that. But here's a better look at like the damaged suit. You can see like the belt is all like weird because of it. A lot of people thought this was like an evil Superman, but it's clear it's like mud or like he's been burnt or something like that. So I don't think it's like an evil Superman, just the fact that he's like, it's like heavily damaged and stuff like that. So a lot of people saw set photos from like a weird, like even further away angle where people thought this was like an evil Superman. No, it's just the damaged suit. So not much to, distract you or lead you down like a false path, if you want to put it. It's just the damaged suit. Now, I know there is concern over there being too many set photos and stuff. The only group of set photos which I was like, oh my God, why? Like, I wish they weren't seen, was the one with the villain. That's why I didn't show the thing, because I don't really, if you haven't seen it, I don't really want people to see it. Rather, it also spoils another character that hadn't been announced for this movie either. Those are the type of set photos I was like, oh God, like, why is that put in there? Because I think that's a legitimate spoiler. I know James Gunn replied to someone on Instagram or whatever it was, and said like, oh no, we wouldn't film anything publicly if we thought it was a spoiler. But man, it's a spoiler because it reveals something that you like sort of tried to dismiss like a few months or a couple of months ago or whatever it was. But everything else has been fine, in my opinion, at the very least. Of course, if it showed like Hawkgirl getting decapitated or something like that with in that set of photo, okay, that's a concern. But that's because it's something that we didn't know already. We already knew Hawkgirl, Guy Gardner, all these characters are in there, so it's fine. It's when you get something else. Like if we see Batman show up or something and it reveals who's been cast as Batman, okay, massive spoiler if that hadn't been announced previously. But I think the majority of these set photos are fine. There's just a couple that are a bit annoying, but I mean, people are going to post them because especially on Twitter nowadays, you get monetized and stuff. So it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like or show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on these. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Do you thought on the damaged Superman suit with a better look? Thoughts on the other suits? Do you think they're just going to get newer or like more comic accurate and better quality suits come the end of the movie? Or do you think they might stay? I don't know. You might have a different thought there. Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.